Steve, how was HIMSS 12 for the society and for the audience?
Well, Mike, it was an excellent conference. We have about 36,500 people that are attending the conference this year. It's about a 15% increase from last year. On the exhibition floor, we have over 1,100 companies that are exhibiting this year. That's also an increase of about 11%. So on a pure metric standpoint, a very successful conference. When you start talking with CIOs and other IT professionals as you walk the hallways of the convention center here in Las Vegas, you're hearing a great deal of excitement and satisfaction in terms of the ability to learn in one place so much about what's going on in healthcare. We have a fairly significant international audience, representatives from probably about 30 countries from around the world that are here, major delegations from the Nordic countries in particular. And so there's a very small but significant international flavor to the conference, as well as you see a very significant exchange of knowledge, of best practices, of problems and problem solutions. So when we look at this thing in its entirety, certainly from a number standpoint, very successful, but it's the satisfaction of the educational component that's really key to us. And that's what we look at when we come out of the conference and we get those evaluations. And in fact also helps us to design the conference for the future. It influences the educational offerings that we provide in other settings as well as this conference. So anecdotally, anyway, we're hearing very positive remarks about the educational program this year.
What are the major strategic themes of the Society and the Congress?
We have four major ones that I'd like to touch on. One is mobile health. And mobile health we're defining really two ways. One is the mobile devices that are used in an institution or by a physician. And then there's the delivery of care in remote settings, not in an institution. And so there's some mobility in terms of the provision of health. That's a major theme that's developing within the society and will be a fairly significant component in next year's conference. Connecting with consumers. The American healthcare system hasn't been very good in using technology to connect consumer with practitioner. American practitioners, physicians in particular, have been slow to utilize technology as a way of connecting with their patients. So that's a theme that we're focusing on because we see that as a significant way to transform healthcare, get consumers more engaged. Interoperability remains a very significant component of our work. The ability for systems of competitive vendors to exchange data, critical in terms of the continuity of care. And then the final is clinical and business intelligence. We've spent years now building data warehouses, huge amounts of data sitting out there. Now we need to learn what to do with that data in order to drive the practice of healthcare into a different place, focused on how treatments will result in different kinds of outcomes depending upon the patient population. All of that entails analytics associated with the delivery of care in the past and then being able to extrapolate from that how treatment might change in the future by building off those experiences.
So what are your plans for HIMSS 13?
Well, certainly those strategic themes are going to be a part of the conference. The conference is next year in New Orleans. It's a city we haven't been to in about 5-6 years now. So we're very excited about going back to that part of the United States. It's a great destination, a very attractive destination that people like to visit. So in terms of what you're likely to see around that conference in terms of education, as I say, I think we'll see a big increase in our mobile health care offerings. I think the clinical and business intelligence piece will also be a significant addition. And then in the United States, you have meaningful use. The federal government's system for encouraging the adoption and use of technology. Meaningful use is going to be, it is here this year, it's going to be a big piece of the educational component next year because we have literally 5,500 hospitals in the United States, all who are moving on this process of achieving meaningful use. We're just finishing stage 1 now. The new regulations for stage 2 are due out any day now. So by this time next year, we'll be dealing with everybody's experiences in trying to make the modifications necessary to meet the requirements of stage 2. So that'll be a big piece of next year's conference.